Unfortunately, they've only got paid accounts now. There don't seem to be any free accounts.
Yeah, no, they used to have a free account and they've all gone paid now. But compare the cost. What's it, $9.90 versus how much ever you paying? I don't know how much you're paying.
Yeah.
I don't pay anything for this.
Neither do I.
Neither do I, but
all you
You
guys
only-
do is free.
You only
But-
need to pay for it if you want to do like things like transfer files and stuff. But actually, you should be doing that through email or a platform anyway.
Not
But for
now.
talking-
Sorry, Adrian. Now there's no free account.
yeah, no, they've changed that, Adrian. Now you have to sign up if you want to go live like us.
Really? And what's the charge, Alison?
$9.90.
Well, it was good while it lasted.
I can't remember because I'm already in a Zoom plan with another organization. So that's why I wanted to compare before I changed. But anyway, now I can't. So I'm not going to be paying for something till until I really get a better handle on it.
The only difference with this, and the only reason I used it when they first were doing the beta testing, was that they have an affiliate program, and you can't really get that with Zoom unless you're big, and this is better for people at grassroots. And I love the interface.
I find it a lot easier. Like right now we're recording and we're streaming, and it was so easy to set it up. So that's right. So look, let's get started.
For this group, actually, I should talk to the CEO and say we've got this group because he is a great guy. And I know, do any of you know Dan Lok, the Chinese guy who's an influencer on wealth creation?
I know of him. I've learned a lot from him.
Yeah, he's the marketing manager for Meetin.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've got the contacts, so perhaps if he wants to, you can talk to him and see what you can do. Right. So anyway, look, let's get started. Firstly, I want to welcome everybody and thank everybody for taking the time out to our first of many discussions about the book Think and Grow Rich. And tonight, what we're going to do is we're just going to get to know each other, people who are going to participate in this. And all I want to do is know a little bit about something about you, what you do, and what you're hoping to get out of this whole experience of Think and Grow Rich. My intention for this group is that it's like a ship. A tide rises all ships. So as we increase our financial well-being around money, hopefully everybody's going to start attracting more money. And we've got a really, really great story to tell tonight about somebody who I met about 4 weeks ago, who has changed his lifestyle in 3 or 4 weeks. Welcome everybody. I'm just going to go from the side of my screen. So ladies, I'm not trying to be I'm just going by the size of my screen. Thanks, Alison. And actually the guy next to me, he's got my name. He's stolen my name. He claims he's got no computer literacy or whatever, but he's hacked my account already. So,
I don't know how that happened, Paul, genuinely.
All right, okay. Well, we're going to be catching up on Wednesday night, and we'll discuss that on Wednesday night. So his name is actually Phil and not Paul. So welcome, Phil. How are you?
Hi, guys.
Right.
So, where do you want me to start then, Paul?
So I suppose the first thing is, what do you do, Phil?
Okay, I work in engineering. I've been in engineering for 30 years, and within the last, say, 2 years, I've decided to start my own business restoring classic cars. A friend of mine, we set up together. We had a workshop together. We've restored 6 cars in 2 years. It's become a labor of love. We weren't making a lot of money, but the passion was in it. And so we decided to close the business only recently. And so now I'm working for another company in Sydney. I work in structural engineering. So I'm back doing a run-of-the-mill job at the moment. So what it was I contacted Paul with regards to sorting out my superannuation because it was a bit of a mess. So I met him and we discussed about, I've been brought up in the UK in a very working class background, and we had no financial directions from our family. So I know nothing about money. So I spoke to Paul and said, look, I'm just terrified about the whole thing. And he said, well, look, you've got to have a different outlook on it. And to be quite honest, Paul has really opened me up to not being scared of money and investing it in. I'm a very tentative investor, I must admit. I don't want to lose my money. So I'm just saying to him, what do you recommend? And he's come up with a plan for me for my superannuation. But getting away from that, a little bit of my story was when I met him, I've only known him for 3 weeks, and he's just opened my total eyes, my total perspective on what to do with life. And what happened was I was renting a unit in Ramsgate, and it was a little pokey old unit, so claustrophobic, and I'd been there for 2 years and I hated it. I really hated it. And he just said, he said, look, Phil, invite the right vibes into your life and it will happen. And I was like, oh, and I'll be genuine now. I did not believe what he said. I got a phone call about a week later from a friend of mine I've not spoken to in 10, 15 years. And we went down to the 60-foot skiff club, and we were having drinks and whatever. And he said, how's your life going? I said, well, at the moment, I'm in a bit of a turmoil. I said, I hate where I live. And he said, well, where are you living? I said, Ramsgate Beach. And he said, oh, well, that's a nice area. And I went, the place I'm living in is so pokey. It's called Death's Waiting Room because nobody speaks to you in this block. To cut a long story short, he said to me, my son's moving out of my ground floor of my house. He said, would you like to move in? So I thought, wow, that's a great, yeah. So I decided to come round. I went round about a couple of days later, looked at the place. He put it for auction 6 months ago for $4.5 million. It's an absolutely beautiful house. It's a 4-story house on the water. And I said to him, wow, I said, can I show me around? I went out the backyard. His pool is like a resort. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm not making this up, guys. I walked into the house and I said, wow. I said, when can I move in? And he said, next week. And I said, how much rent? And I'm paying $420 in Ramsgate Beach. He said to me, how does 500 sound a week, fully furnished? And I'm not kidding, guys. Some days it might sound like this is a made-up story. It's not. And my life has changed within 2.5 weeks. And I've started reading. I've started reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which Paul recommended. That's all semi-sinking in. But things are happening for me now, and I'm really happy. So look, I don't want to steal the limelight, but I want to encourage you guys that things can change, and my life is definitely changing because I've opened my eyes. Right. So go on,
and
Paul.
that's why I wanted to start with you, because it is such a great story. And that's not really all there is to this story. I mean, a little small thing that happened last week was when you're taking your garbage out.
Yeah, this was. Can I just interrupt? I was throwing my garbage out with this half-yearly clear up, and I went to. There was a polystyrene box full of books, and I looked in them, and there was a book there, and I went, "Oh no!" It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and somebody had highlighted all the way through the chapters. And I thought, this is a sign, something's happening. So, as I say, guys, I'm genuinely saying this I've got nothing to gain by making a story up, but this is what's been happening with me in the last couple of weeks. It's been amazing. So, anyway, thanks for listening to me.
I also love what your new flatmate's wife tells you to do. Tell us what she says.
She said to me, when I moved in, she saw my linen on the bed. And I said, oh, I get all my sheets from Kmart. And she said to me, how dare you bring linen like that? And we call it Manchester in Australia. How dare you bring that into my house? She said, you deserve quality linen. She says, you have to go to, there's a bespoke Manchester shop, we call them. And she said, go there and get the best quality because you deserve it. And I thought, you're talking sense there, Margaret. So that's my story, guys. So,
okay. And just quickly, your knowledge of Think and Grow Rich. Have you ever come across a book? Have you ever read the book? What's your experience?
No, I've seen it on YouTube. I've watched some clips of it on YouTube, but I know absolutely nothing of it. So I'm all ears, and I want to learn about it.
Beautiful. Okay, and then what are you hoping to get out of participating?
To be quite honest, I want financial stability in my retirement, and I want to start making money instead of having money just fall through my fingers. So that's I just want some stability at an older age because I've not been a good saver. So that's my aim.
Yeah, I think you're going to learn that saving's not the way forward.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, but in the past, I've been through divorces and whatever, like everybody, and lost money. So what little money I've got now, I want it to grow.
Great. We're going to work on that one. Well, thank you, the other Paul Woodward, Phil.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening to my story.
All right, so the next one on my screen is Paul. He not a great name, 3 Pauls up the top. Paul Cummins. Now, I've known Paul, for 12, 13 years. We both did a Coaches Mastermind group together. And Paul's got a very interesting business he's setting up. So, Paul, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your business?
Sorry. Hi, everyone. So I've been working in the aviation industry most of my life. Different aspects. I've had a few different careers in it. So at the moment, I'm setting up a flight simulator business to do a mix. It's professional pilot training. There's an entertainment aspect of it for the general public as well. And there's also sort of some corporate training and leadership type things that I'll be developing along with some other people, using the simulators as part of the platform to that. So it's applying, flying techniques and safety into business and other things. But the actually, do you want me to give them a quick tour, Paul? I'm actually in the simulators at the moment.
Right, you've got to see these simulators. It's like walking into a real cockpit. And I was fortunate enough where Paul let me spend a whole afternoon, and what you can see now, it's actually a jet fighter, and you go faster than the speed of light. F-18, you go faster than the speed of light.
Speed of sound. So it'll do about Mach 1.6. So it's 1.6 times the speed of sound.
And I crashed it every time I tried to land it.
Yeah. So it's not switched on at the moment, but that's what that one is. The other one that's being rebuilt. I just happen to be here because I've been on a remote call with the US all day, actually. I'm going to be back here at 2 o'clock in the morning so he can keep working. So that one's an Airbus 320. So it's being rebuilt at the moment. And then the power's off on this one, but I'll see if there's any. You can see a little bit. This one's going to be a bit hard to see. This is a 737. So I'm actually inside the cockpit of it at the moment. I'd switched the power off earlier because I was going to go home, actually. But just to show you the size of it and part of the nose cone in the cockpit. So it's the nose looking at the outside of the shell.
So
Anyway,
when
so
you sit
that's-
in there, it's like a real 737.
Yeah,
You,
actually, I'll
um,
switch the light on.
yeah.
Actually, it is on. Let me go.
It's got all the instruments, all the paneling. It's amazing. It's like, again, I crash this one every time I try to land it. But that's half the fun. So there, it's like being in a real plane.
I used to train at Qantas, and this is the same as the one I trained at. So it's very close. There's hardly any difference at all. So it's got 2 seats, all the pilot controls and instruments, everything works on it. So that's been what I've been keeping occupied with for the last 6 months setting up. So it's been a bit of a struggle at times, but it's getting there.
All right, well, thank you for showing us that, Paul. So what's your experience with Think and Grow Rich?
I think I came across it years ago. I probably skimmed through it. I don't recall reading the whole thing. But I've, sort of thumbed through it and had a look years and years ago. Nothing recent, though.
Nothing recent, okay. And what you're hoping to get out of this whole practice?
Probably a bit like Phil. I mean, I've been through similar types of things to what he has, and need to do a reset. And I think just a bit of a reset. And it's always a good reminder to review where you're at and what's holding you back and things like that. So it's a very good time to be doing it now.
Okay, great. All right, thank you for that, Paul. So the next one on my screen is Claire. I don't know, Claire, can you hear me? I can't see her. She said her picture's not working, but yes.
Or she put some messages in the loom to say that
Right.
she's having trouble because it just keeps saying they're trying to connect. So I
Right.
think she's kind of given up the ghost.
I will tell her that you can watch it on the Facebook group. And I know Bill's in there, and Bill's left a few messages. Fred's left a few messages. Hey, Fred, how you going? So Fred's in there as well. And Bill says, well, he's working. So Claire can go into the Facebook where it's going to be live. All right. My friend Sally, how you going?
Hello. Testing 1 2.
Hello, Anthony. How are you?
Sorry, I thought it was 7, and then I looked and I went, "Oh my god, it's 6."
He's from Queensland, so they've got the different daylight savings and all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you arrived because Anthony, his Bible is Think and Grow Rich, so he really knows Think and Grow Rich. But what we're doing right now, Anthony, is we're just going through and introducing everybody, and everybody's getting to know who they are, what they've done, what they do, and what their experience is, and what they're hoping to get out of it.
Okay, cool.
And I was up to Sally. So Sally, we can't hear you, Sally.
You're on mute.
mute.
Yep, that's all right. I got it. So so Paul and I have been doing the Tuesday nights lives with. I don't know if you've seen what he's been putting in more money, but so we discuss the energy around money every Tuesday night, and he does some really cool doodly things, makes little snippets, and getting lots of views on YouTube with it, which is great. So I'm based in Melbourne, and I'm holistically fit specialist. Basically, I work with energy on all different levels and help shift and lift people's energy. I'm also working on an empowered clothing range. I'm a personal trainer. I've got all these different tools and toolboxes, and I run weekly classes with Alison. So from a wellness coach to energy healer to personal trainer, and coaching. So that's that aspect. That's where I combine up with Paul, and so the practical and the spiritual, which is what we discuss on Tuesday nights, shifting the whole energy, which is why it really aligned with these books. And how it started was that we both read this book and we started chatting about it, and just the power of shifting your mindset and shifting your energy can completely shift your back pocket. So that's why I'm here. And we always, or we meet up, we do our own little mastermind once a week. We're also in another group together, and I just think he's an all-round top dude. We met in networking during COVID when it was really shitty in Melbourne, so it was a really nice thing to go to this networking, and so we've just extended our friendship from there and taken it into the workplace, baby. So that's me.
Cool.
So one of the things, Sally, so we've known each other about a year, but we've really just connected for about 2 or 3 months now. And I've just seen her grow as well with regards to, she's been on the path a long time, but I can just see the way her mindset is shifting. And some of the things that she's manifested is incredible.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
She's manifested houses, she's manifested cars, manifested dudes.
Yeah. I just have to be really clear about what I manifest, because one of the boyfriends I manifested, I forgot to say a full set of teeth. He ticked every box except for that bit. It's hilarious.
So I know your experience, but why don't you tell everybody what your experience with Think and Grow Rich is?
Oh, I had him in my experience with it. No, it was the Joe Vitale that changed my life, that one as well. So, yeah, I've read this book, and I just really love how it's so applicable today, even though it was written such a long time ago, and not much has changed with sort of the basics and foundations around using energy and your approach with it around money and how it can help you and your business. So, yeah, because as Paul and I always say, where energy goes, your attention flows, but your money flows as well. So, yeah.
Okay. And what do you want to get out of this?
Well, the power of individual input is just massive. You know, everybody's got lots of wisdom, but when you combine that in a group and talk about it, just what you walk away with is way greater when you've got more of an input. So, you know, different points of view, I suppose, that can give me some more light bulb moments.
Like it.
Okay. All right. So, Adrian, are you there? Adrian's got a very interesting story. It looks like he's not there. He runs the world's smallest expo. Right, Alison, while we wait for Adrian to come back, there he is. Adrian, is that beer you're drinking? Why don't you tell us about yourself, and you're on mute as well.
Yes, it is a beer, Paul. It's 7:30 in New South Wales.
Well, why don't you tell us about the world's smallest expo?
And when you've got 2/3 of your Christmas shopping finished, you deserve a beer.
Right.
What should I tell you about myself? The first time I read Think Rich, it was in Hong Kong in 1997. It was given to me by my best friend from Ireland, and he said, "You need to read this, Adrian." And then I read it, and then the 1999 Asian financial crisis came. And so I was just like, and then as soon as that finished, I started a company and did very well. And it was putting all of the things in place. And then, of course, I got sideswiped by every type of guru that was out there before Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or Pinterest or even Google. So it's good to be coming back to the basics, because just like Einstein said, we don't know what they're going to use in World War III, but we know in World War IV they're going to use sticks and stones. And I think after the next thing that we're going to be hit with financially, we're going to be going back to Think and Grow Rich. And a lot of people have grown up on that book. They've grown on that book. They've grown up on audio books of it. They've gone on from teachers who teach it. But I think that's what we're going to need to go back to, because people have been bombarded with pseudo-psychology through TikTok and Facebook and YouTube. And they've got snippets the same way a village preacher might take parts of the Bible or maybe what other people of religion taking from their book quotes, and they take quotes from Napoleon Hill as well. But it's all disjointed, and people actually need to go through the process of actually reading it and making personal change through those chapters. And that's why I joined Paul. Apart from the fact that Paul, I have never seen him use an emotion that was very down or very up. He's constant. And I love that about him. He's consistent. Consistently Paul Woodward.
He doesn't hang around me that much.
I've seen snippet. I've seen one snippet, but I love you, Paul. I think you're great. What you're doing is so unassuming and without fanfare, and it's so authentic that I just had to be a part of this.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. Why don't you tell us about the world's smallest market?
The world's smallest expo.
Expo, sorry.
So early in this year, around March or so, I was arranging a free event, and I used a booking website called Humanitix, who donate all of their booking fees to charities that teach or give money to education for underprivileged children. And I thought, what do I need right now? How could I use this website? And I thought, I need to run an event where I can charge people some money through this excellent booking website, better than Try Booking, better than Ticketex or anything like that, or Eventbrite. I thought, what can I do? And I belong to like 3 different networking groups who are always pitching themselves as the biggest thing in the world. And I thought, I don't want to be the biggest in the world. I've always been the shortest in my class. And I thought, what can I do that is unassuming? And I thought, I had just been to Sydney Build Expo at the convention center in Darling Harbour. And I thought, that was pretty big. That was the biggest thing I'd seen in 3 years of COVID and bushfire smoke and floods. And it was great. It was just in there. There were exhibitors and booths and music and people. And I thought, I want to do something like this, but I'll start the world's smallest expo. So I got my son to build an expo hall out of Lego with booths and people and everything at tables, and took a photo of it and launched it in, I think, April this year. And we've been going ever since. We just meet once a month down at a little pub in Chinatown in Sydney, and we just talk about business. People come to us with their problems. Sometimes someone comes with something they want to sell. Sometimes nobody comes with anything at all, and we have to make it up. But we have lunch together and we chill, and then the conversations and the friendships build, and it costs $20 and you get lunch and a drink. It's the best deal in town.
Yeah, you get lunch, a drink, and good conversation. And what do you want to get out of this experiment with Think and Grow Rich?
I am sure there are things in that book that when I read it in 1997, they haven't stuck, and that is things I need to revise. I think there are things I'm going to see out of it now that I have 3 kids that is going to mean a lot more to me and maybe sink in a different way.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Adrian. Okay, Alison. And Gregory, I'm sorry that you last, but I know you're the first in, but for some reason you're just going around the screen. All that. All right, so Alison.
So hi, everyone. I'm Alison, and like Sally, in fact, I met both Sally and Paul in the networking group. And I used to be a teacher many years ago in Melbourne, came to Canberra, and because it's a government town, I became a public servant, as you do. And I retired a couple of years ago, and since then I've taken up life coaching, particularly transformation coaching and empowerment. And that's why Sally and I now have this group together, because we both believe in holistic empowerment, mind, body, and soul. And that's really what I love doing with people, shifting their mindset from where they are to where they want to be. Now, Think and Grow Rich came across my path many years ago, and of course, typically I didn't read it. I did have a look at it, through in subsequent years, and have sort of flirted with it here and there. I have read particular chapters every now and again for whatever reason. Actually, I did a presentation some time ago, and one of the chapters was about, taking your power from the bedroom and from the boardroom into the bedroom, or vice versa. I can't remember. And it was a women's group, and it was a very interesting discussion. But anyway, what I really love about this group, and what I really want to get out of this group, is, as Sally said, when you get a lot of people coming together, sharing their ideas, that becomes bigger than just your own individual idea. I love the Think and Grow Rich thing because, and I've actually taken an excerpt from the text and put in the chat. And as Napoleon Hill says, this is not a novel, it's a textbook on individual achievement that came directly from the experiences of hundreds of America's most successful men. It should be studied, digested, and meditated upon. No more than one chapter should be read in a night. And I think when together we look at each chapter and we talk about it, we'll just get that much more out of it. Now, one of the other things about the Think and Grow Rich story that I love, that I actually learned from Mary Morrissey, who's an American coach, and I went to one of her events years ago, and she actually talked about the experience of Napoleon Hill being summoned by Andrew Carnegie to his office and being given the opportunity to work for 20 odd years without being paid, other than, as it said in the YouTube thing, other than just his expenses. And he had to give his answer right there and then. He couldn't go home and talk to his wife about it, la la la. And he said yes straight away. And that was what Carnegie was wanting, that he wanted an instant response. He was looking for somebody who had that kind of drive and that sort of power within him. And I really love that. And that's something that I try and instill in myself and also in people I work with. And I think together we can definitely get that and put them together and go, boom. And the other thing too is that, it's from all, as they said, America's most powerful men at the time who were making money, who were successful, who were really thinking outside the box. And what's not to love about learning from people like that? So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Right. Thank you for that. And yes, I remember that story. He was given 1 minute and he made his decision in 29 seconds. But the interview went for 3 days, so he had all the information as well. So great, thank you for that.
Sorry, just one more thing, and I think he had to say that he was going to be richer than Andrew Carnegie. So he had to say that he'd outstrip Andrew Carnegie's success and meet him on the top of the hill or on the other side of the hill or something, which was like huge because Carnegie was one of the richest men in America, if not in the world at that time. And so just amazing. Love it. Love the empowerment in that.
Yeah, he was actually the richest man in the world, and
I'll pass you at the grandstand.
People. Yeah, pass you at the grandstand. Yep.
Yes, I'll pass you at the grandstand.
Fantastic. All right, then Gregory. So I want to thank Gregory for coming. It's 3 a.m. where he is. So he's all the way in America. Yep. That's it. So tell us about yourself, Gregory. And I know you quite well now, but.
I'm Gregory or Greg. I'm from the U.S. and I'm from Illinois. Right now I'm in New Jersey. I'm currently a truck driver. I'm over the road. I'm pretty much everywhere at all times, working on becoming a freelance copywriter to earn a little bit more income and a little later on a lot more income, get myself out of here so I have more time to think and create myself. I really love this discussion. I'm happy to be here. I think Paul has a wonderful idea. It's like Allison said about this book should be meditated upon. I can't remember who said it, but they said that when somebody reads a book or possibly listens to something a second time or a third time, they see something in it that wasn't there before, but it was there before. What it really is there's something inside the person that wasn't there before. And yes, there are books that I have read several times over, and I have seen that. I've witnessed that. Each time, the first time through, you may get some meaning from it. You read it the second time, and you think, wow, I don't remember that. It's because the first time you read it through, you became more aware, a little bit more knowledgeable. So when you read it the second time, something else will stand out and you grasp that. And I think it's really amazing. And as far as the meditating, there's been times, well, like say the Bible, for instance, I will read a paragraph, and that paragraph, sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. Even though I understand the words, I'm hearing what they're saying, but it doesn't quite make perfect sense. And it is just a nagging feeling that, and this has been with other books as well, there'll be like a nagging feeling that there's something more there that I'm not getting. And I will read that same paragraph maybe 2 or 3 times slowly, and then I'll close the book. And I might close my eyes, sit back, and just relax and think about or meditate upon the words that I've read. And it might be a few minutes, and maybe 15, 20 minutes. It might not even be that day, but a lot of times it is, that suddenly, just from out of nowhere, I will have this revelation or realization of a more profound meaning of that paragraph that the words really didn't give credit to. But then I'll go back and read that paragraph after that, and I can see it was there all along. So I think reading, rereading, studying a book, and meditating upon what it says and really searching for that deep meaning, I think that's a great thing. And I love dissecting this book and going through it. Paul's idea here, I think it's wonderful. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, thank you for that. And what you'll find is when we've got, we've got 9 or 10 people, when you get 10 different people whose ideas come up, it's really going to help you with understanding those paragraphs that you might miss something. It's going to be amazing when we do this. So did you tell us what you wanted to get out of this this experience?
In this case, it's kind of like what I was saying. I've listened to it on audio many times. I have a book somewhere. It's in storage that I got back in 2014. Before I started reading it, that's when I was leaving the military. Everything got packed up. A lot of it's still in storage, and now I'm on the road. So that's why I now have the audio version. And I also have a digital version. But I want to go through it, actually reading it, because that's a lot. You get more in-depth understanding when you read than just listening to. And want to go through it several times. And as far as the discussion and talking about it, what I want to get out of this is, like I was saying about meditating on a paragraph, I want to get a deeper understanding of each chapter and basically absorb that to where it's just second nature to have that as my lifestyle. Yeah, I think the more you read something, it's just like the more you do something, you get better at it, and it will become like a second nature to you. You'll be living it without even having to think about what you're doing. So that's kind of what I'm after, is a deep absorption of the principles.
I love that. Yeah.
So do I. That's great. Thank you. All right. So, Anthony, before we go ahead, I want you to tell us what you said to me the other day about all the people that he interviewed and how these people have impacted the society we live in. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Interview? Who interviewed?
The Napoleon. How he interviewed the Wright brothers and Ford and Edison.
Oh,
and
yes.
that.
My take from the story and the history, because I've gone through Think and Grow Rich, How to Outwit the Devil, The Law of Success. I've gone through all of these books. I've listened to the audio of him speaking as well. But the impact, it was a time and a place between like 1890 to 1910. Was a bit of a Renaissance period where electricity, motor cars, and a lot of the modern age came about through all of the people that he interviewed. The aeroplane, motor car, refrigerator, electricity, the light bulb. And we're living in that age now. And it came through that short period of time of 20 years. And the recession period instigated Carnegie Hall to try and save some of that knowledge, or at least the principles behind it, and put it into a book, which brought about Napoleon Hill to end up writing that story, which was the first one was The Law of Success. But yeah, he managed to put all of that into one book, and yeah, the books are amazing. What I would like to get out of this group, because I've been reading so many books. I haven't gone over Think and Grow Rich for we're going on 8 months now. And Gregory, what you were saying, I've actually got I've just purchased a book holder, so I can hold the pages open on a particular page, so I can do exactly what you were talking about. Just take it in and just read a paragraph or read a page and just do it over and over again, and then meditate it until you start living it without thinking about it. But yeah, I didn't say it as eloquently as you, but I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, this book came to me out of sheer accident. I found myself out of a divorce, lost my kids, lost my house, lost my business. Then my mum died, and I found myself without anything. And I typed in best self-help book ever written, and up came the book Think and Grow Rich. And I studied it, and I studied it, and I studied it, and I studied it. And it was a roadmap, and I realized I just need to follow these principles. But then as I started following the principles, I realized it's more in depth. There's universal laws that are at play. And then you've got to sort of, okay, well, there's principles and there's universal laws. So how do I bring those both together? And it's not as easy as you think, because you've got all of these old habits that you've got to break through. So that's where, who was it that said Think and Grow Rich is like a default button? Whenever I look at my, it's working because the results in your life are a direct proportion to the person that you're changing into. And if you're not getting the results that you want, I always go back to Think and Grow Rich as a default mechanism, and then I go over it again, and then I realize, I'm not doing that. But I'm looking at this group as a way of reaffirming and going over the book again. And it couldn't have happened at a better time, to be honest, because I'm moving into new businesses, new partnerships, new deals, and a lot's happening, and I need to remind myself of the fundamentals so I don't jump off the rails, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's about it.
Can you just tell us a little bit about these businesses? Because I think a lot of people might be interested.
The businesses are, I love property, and prior to losing everything, I was studying property options, but I found myself, COVID hit. I didn't have any savings, and I lost my job because it was a casual job, and I had to reinvent myself. And then I went through the book, and I went, I've got to create a mastermind group. And I created 3 different mastermind groups. And I was looking for a mentor, but I had to design my life prior to. So it was like, I use the analogy of an aeroplane taking off. It's got to have a destination, otherwise it's going to crash. So what was my destination was going to be? And I thought, it could be anything I want. I went, how cool is that? And then I sort of really dive into it, and I said, I love property and I want to do property options. So what's my ultimate goal? And I went, I want to have a global property development company. And I went, because it talks about having something so beyond your possible comprehension of ever achieving that you think you'd never even get there. But that's the magic of the book. So I set about creating a mastermind group using Carnegie Hall's method of finding the right people to come into the group that could then benefit the journey towards the ultimate company. And I didn't really set a time period on it, which I probably should have done. But that was 2 years ago. Prior to then, my life, I've got a great job. I've got my kids back, paid down my debt. I've got now a partnership. I've got 5 deals on the table. I'm going to do a property course in the Gold Coast in January with a gentleman who's made a fortune out of property. And it's all about the environment. So you've got to put yourself in the right environment. And I'm putting myself in that environment where I found my mentor. And so he's just gone, just turn up. And we're going to go through a whole list of things, and then we're going to work out what your strategy is going to be for the next year. So, yeah, it's exciting times. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to going through the book again. It's life-changing.
Thank you for that, Anthony. And,
Yeah.
you know, like I met you, I don't know, earlier on in this year, and then we kind of went our own separate ways, and just listening how you went back on track, it's very inspirational. And I know you love Think and Grow Rich, and I know you've done a lot of study.
Yes,
And,
just one more thing. I found that if you're not getting the results you want, it's all about the level of focus that you put onto a subject. So I was focusing on too many subjects, and I had to pull back and then go, hold it, what's my ultimate goal again? Oh, it's a property developer. So I had to discard a whole heap of things and then just bring myself back onto that. And that's when things just started taking off straight away, organically. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. It's a shame you missed Phil's story, because Phil had a really great story, but you can go and watch it in the replay.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sorry,
Phil.
Yeah, you'll love it. All right, and then the other girl from Queensland, or the other person from Queensland, is Nicolette. So obviously both of them got caught out with their daylight savings. How you going, Nicolette?
Hi, how are you? Good. I had a bit of a family thing. Sorry for that.
That's all right. So tell us a little bit about what do you do?
Yeah, so first of all, apologies, I was late, but I'm here. That's the main thing. What I do, I can relate to what Anthony was just saying. I've done one of the courses, so I wonder if it's the same one, Anthony. Happy to share that.
Yeah, cool.
So I've been in hospitality for over 25 years, running luxury properties all around the world, as general manager and as COO, but after 25 years and running myself down to burnout and not spending enough time with my loved ones and spending time being more married to my work than to my husband, I stopped that business, or stopped my career there. And then I started doing some different things, started to go into property as well. I did a lot of an Airbnb management, managing properties for other businesses, for other owners as well, because it was like running my own little hotel, which I know so well, but it was just not what I wanted. So I started to go into self-development business, which was a networking marketing business. Did that for a couple of years, but it was just not aligned with me. As we were saying, you need to follow your heart, and you need to make sure that you do what you love to do. And but it was that time that I came across the book, Think and Grow Rich. And the first time I picked it up, I was like, oh my God, I can't get through this. I read the first couple of pages and I was like, nah, don't understand a word they're saying. And just put it away again. And a couple of weeks later, I picked it up again. And every time I've picked it up a couple of times. You get something else out of it, because I'm different. So it's not the book what changes, it's not the principles and the theories what changes, but it's me. So sometimes you're not quite ready, and you can read it over and over and over again. But if you're not ready, you just don't get it, or you get it, but just in a different way. And that's why I love just writing and reading other books, not just Think and Grow Rich. So I really devolved into the personal development kind of ROM. And yeah, I did a lot of work on myself because it was not just my business was not working, it was me who was not working. So I needed to clear all the shit out of my, excuse my French, out of my head, out of my heart, out of my body, because I was just pretty toxic in a lot of ways. And I just wanted to know who I really truly am and what I really wanted to do in my life. And it took a lot of work, and I needed to do the work on myself first before I can start helping others. And now I help others to find themselves, be on that soul journey, and find what they would love to do. Not selling a business, not selling whatever they want to hear. It's whatever is the end inside of them. And it's removing the blocks and the limited beliefs that we can't do it. And for me, it started all with reading a lot of books. I'm still reading a lot of books. And what I said, Think and Grow Rich, I put it down so many times and I picked it up so many times. And every time I picked it up, something else came out of it. And yeah, I've done a mastermind on Think and Grow Rich before on the Gold Coast with a big group, with about 10 or 12 of us as well, which was amazing. Some of the things went straight over my head. I was like, don't understand what they're saying. I don't understand what they're talking about. But a week later and a month later, it just clicks again and again and again because I was just growing and changing. And I think that's what I love about books like Think and Grow Rich, because every time you take something new out of it. Every time you read another paragraph, it's something different. And I can't wait to hear what your view is and what you take out of it, because what I said to you before, Paul, it might be that you just explain it in a different way and you just get what has been written. And that's what I'm here for, just to share my learnings out of the book and to share what your learnings are, and to broaden my horizon and broaden my views on what we can do in the world and how we can change one by one, and starting with ourselves.
Cool.
Cool, great. Thank you for that. So we've gone through everybody. Billy couldn't get on, and Claire, for some reason, we couldn't get onto her. So I'll just tell you a little bit about Bill and Claire. So Claire, actually, maybe I could get Sally, because Sally kind of like grew up with Claire, or no. Tell us a little bit about Claire, please, Sally.
So, yeah, it ends up that I reconnected with Claire this year through a group that you and I are in and Ali's in, and also through healing work that we do together, activator work. But I grew up in Blackburn in Melbourne, and it was very country, sort of very back then. It was very sort of bushy, and my neighbour was Claire, and I used to play in her cubby house, and I probably haven't seen her for about 45 years. And we reconnected this year. And Claire is a very wise soul. She's very much into all forms of healing, from sound bowls to running sacred circles, I think, and is very, very in tune and very sensitive and very enlightened. And she's a great manifester. She's probably one of the best manifestors I know. And she's just currently relocating from living in the city, basically out to Phillip Island area. So she's in the midst of moves, and I'm not sure that Wi-Fi is all set up or what everything's all set up. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul, very wise, very takes her time to consider her words and what she has to say. So a wise old owl, I like to equate Claire as, and she's not old. She's just a couple of years older than me. Yeah, but I think she'll be a beautiful addition to this group as well.
No, so as you said, Claire's part of our other group as well. So I've got to know Claire, and everything you say about Claire, I have to agree with as well. The other person who couldn't get on is Billy. Billy, my friend Billy. He's a very interesting person. He's running 2 businesses, and he's doing a job as well. And he's on a massive growth spurt, emotional growth. And he's going to be great for this group as well. So I'll just tell you a little bit about why I set this group up, or why I've invited everybody into this group, right? So I've read this book probably 3 or 4 times this year, maybe more. I'm reading it for the second time aloud to my kid, right? I'm up to page whatever, 200 or whatever. I've listened to it 4 or 5 times on Audible. Like Anthony, I've got he's Outwitting the Devil. It's a bit dark where you are, Anthony. We can't see much.
Oh, sorry.
Outwitting the Devil. I've also got his whole library. So, like Anthony, I've actually listened to Napoleon Hill talk. And the more I go through this, and people like Nicholas was talking about reading all these other books, and I'm reading a lot of books this year. It's actually coming up to 1 year since I stopped reading, stopped Netflix. It's 26th is when I stopped watching Netflix and started reading. And reading books and not getting involved in Netflix and the news changes lives. I can guarantee you that 100%. But anyway, so I was reading this book again, and I finished reading Rich Dad Poor Dad to the kids, so I thought I'd read this one again. And one of the things it says is, the most profitable way to use this book is to get together a group of like-minded people and discuss it. And that's exactly what I've done. So I'm just following the principles within this book. There's 13 different principles in 16 chapters. It's going to be an incredible journey. It's like anything. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. So there's that. Now, before we go on, does anybody have any questions?
Yes, auto suggestion works.
Yes.
Yes.
Auto suggestion does work. It's one.
It actually works. when I first started doing auto suggestion, I just thought, what a crock of crap. But I gave it 3 months, and it does work. Yeah.
Well, when I was speaking to you on Saturday, I met you earlier on, and that property thing that you're talking about, it's starting to crystallize big time for you now.
Yes.
When I first met you 6 months ago, or whenever it was still the idea, but you've managed to crystallize it now. As you said, you've got 3 or 4 deals on the run. So auto-suggestion, crystallization, holding true your thought. And the book's called Think and Grow Rich, and it's the thought that's really important. You've got to keep thinking about what you want.
And it's containing it with emotion, thinking and emotion.
Emotion.
And visualization.
Emotion is going to be one of those.
You've got to have all,
things.
it's like a recipe. You've got to have all 3. You've got to have a visualization, emotion, and thinking every day.
Absolutely.
And then you put affirmations as the thinking part, and then that's when it comes into its own.
Yeah.
In a way that you'd never possibly think it could ever come to you, but it just does. Yeah.
Well, it's going to come in a way that you don't know how it's going to come to you. And that's why, I mean, when we look at Phil, right, his story was he's now living in a 4-story, $4.5 million mansion that 3 weeks ago.
Can I just interrupt? Which I don't own, by the way.
No, but it's part of your lifestyle now. And the other thing you said to me that you didn't share with everyone was you were talking to your next door neighbour who says, "Do you like boats?" And you said, "Yes, I do." And so you can go boating out in Sydney. So you don't have to own anything to have that lifestyle. You're enjoying that lifestyle now, but you're also, because of the people you're associating with, you're increasing. As I say, the 5 people you hang around with is who you become. You're now hanging around with people that are millionaires and multimillionaires. You're living on the water. It's got to, and it already has. You didn't tell us how. A week ago you had this job with a boss that was an alcoholic, versus now you've got a new job and you've got 50% increase. This all happened in 3 weeks. I mean, your story is remarkable. And Anthony and Nicolette, I suggest you go and listen to his story, because it's one of those manifesting stories where you go, I don't believe it. It's that good a story. And it all comes from that shift in your mindset. And this is what Think and Grow Rich is all about.
Yes.
Gregory, did you want to ask something?
I was wanting to comment on about the auto suggestion. That it really does work. And concerning this book, I was just thinking if there's any particular part that any of us reads that we really want to focus on. What works for me when I really want to absorb something is that, say, take a paragraph or a particular thing and I write it out, because then I'm reading it, I'm thinking it, I'm writing it. And if you rewrite that every single day, it only takes a moment or less. Basically, that's auto suggestion as well. You're constantly putting that into you every morning or whatever each day, reading it and writing it, so you're thinking it, and it will take hold. It will take hold. And also, I would like to comment on Phil's story. I do think that's a great story. I love that happened for you, Phil. I love that it happened in such a short period of time, and that's the kind of thing I believe is capable for everybody to do for themselves. But it's I can't remember who said it. It is difficult to do because of old paradigms and beliefs and everything. I'm someone who, if someone asks, I am good at giving advice, and if they follow it, it works well for them. But I don't seem to be doing too well with my own advice sometimes. So I understand that it is difficult to do. So I'm very happy for what happened for you. And
thanks, Gregory. I appreciate that. That's a nice thought. Thank you.
It's amazing how someone's life can change in 3 weeks. All right, so look, we've been going on for about an hour, just slightly over an hour. Is everybody, so next Monday or is Boxing Day, is everyone okay for coming on Monday, or no? I just want some feedback.
I won't be able to, because I'm going to watch the Sydney to Hobart yacht race.
Okay.
So that's a big day for me.
That's a big day. All right. Okay. How about everyone else? Are we all okay to come in on Monday? And those that can't come in on Monday can catch up and watch it on Facebook or YouTube and come in the following Monday. Okay, Phil?
Yep. I'm happy with that. Yeah.
All right.
Great. Yeah.
The other thing I'm going to do is in the Facebook group, I'm going to start a chat called Think and Grow Rich. So if people are going through the book and want some clarity or want to start a discussion about what they're going through, I don't want to start a Telegram chat, too many devices. So I think we'll just keep that in Think and Grow Rich. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And I know Paul needs a copy, so I'll send you a copy. Does everybody else have some kind of copy, whether it be a digital, an audio, or a PDF?
I don't have one at all. Sorry for interrupting, Paul. I don't have one at all, but I could go and get one over the weekend.
Don't worry. I will send you a PDF that actually has, thank you to Alison. She sent me the PDF, so I'll send both the other Pauls on the screen. Paul and Phil, I'll send both of you those.
Excuse me.
Can I also say, guys, sorry, Paul, I've put the YouTube link in the chat. So if you want to go up into the chat and copy that, in fact, I'll do it again because it's just on my, in one of the many millions of tabs that I have open, as Sally will tell you. I always have a zillion tabs open. There it is. If you want to copy that or go into that straight away and bookmark it.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Alison. Right.
Thank you, Al.
I don't know what happened to me. It looks like I've gone. Okay, so everybody's okay. So we will start with chapter 1 next week.
Cool.
All right, then. Well, thank you, everybody. And I'll see you all next week. And I'll see some of you before.
The secret of success.
That's it.
In every chapter of this book.
Thanks, Paul.
You're
Sounds
welcome.
good.
Well,
Thanks, guys. Really nice to meet you guys.
See you later, guys.
Catch you
See you
soon.
later.
Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.